There are several potential causes for a DirecTV multi-switch repeatedly failing. Firstly, investigate grounding issues. This includes improper grounding of the satellite dish or service entrance and corrosion or loose connections in the grounding system. Secondly, consider electrical surges, which may originate from lightning strikes or the electrical panel, as well as loose or damaged electrical wires. Thirdly, antenna issues such as a faulty low-noise block-down converter or dish misalignment could be a factor. Fourthly, power supply problems, like an overloaded or malfunctioning power supply for the multi-switch, might be the cause. To begin troubleshooting, firstly, inspect the grounding system. Carefully check the grounding rod or rods at the service entrance. Make sure they are properly connected and free from corrosion. Verify that the dish is grounded to the grounding electrode system using an appropriate grounding block. Secondly, check for electrical surges. Employ a surge protector to shield the multi-switch from power surges. Inspect the electrical panel for loose or damaged wires. Have a qualified electrician conduct a safety inspection. Thirdly, examine the antenna and coax cables. Inspect the dish for any signs of damage or misalignment. Check the low-noise block-down converter for proper operation. Confirm that the coax cables running from the dish to the multi-switch and from the multi-switch to the receivers are securely connected and undamaged. Fourthly, inspect the power supply. Verify that the power supply for the multi-switch is properly sized and functioning correctly. Ensure that the power supply is not overloaded with too many devices. Fifthly, consider lightning protection. Install a lightning arrestor near the dish to protect it from lightning-induced surges. Ground the lightning arrestor properly to the grounding electrode system. If the problem persists, contact DirecTV support for further assistance. They may dispatch a technician to diagnose and resolve the issue. Let's delve into each potential cause in more detail. Grounding is crucial for preventing electrical surges from damaging sensitive equipment. The grounding system provides a path for stray electrical currents to safely dissipate into the earth, protecting the multi-switch and other components from voltage spikes. Ensure that the grounding rod is driven deep enough into the ground, typically 8 feet or more, and that it is made of a conductive material like copper or copper-clad steel. The connection between the grounding rod and the grounding wire should be secure and corrosion-free. Use a grounding block specifically designed for satellite dishes to connect the dish to the grounding system. This block provides a low-impedance path for electrical currents to flow to ground. Electrical surges can originate from various sources, including lightning strikes, power grid fluctuations, and even household appliances. These surges can travel through electrical wires and coax cables, potentially damaging electronic devices connected to the system. A surge protector acts as a barrier, diverting excess voltage away from the multi-switch and protecting it from damage. Look for surge protectors specifically designed for satellite equipment, as they typically offer protection for both electrical and coax connections. Inspect the electrical panel for any signs of loose or damaged wires. Loose connections can create resistance, leading to heat buildup and potential electrical surges. Damaged wires can also create short circuits, which can trigger surges. A qualified electrician can perform a thorough inspection of the electrical panel to identify and repair any potential hazards. Antenna issues can also contribute to multi-switch failures. The low-noise block-down converter is responsible for amplifying and converting the satellite signal to a lower frequency that can be transmitted through coax cables. A faulty low-noise block-down converter can generate noise and interference, which can overload the multi-switch and cause it to fail. Ensure that the dish is properly aligned to receive the strongest possible signal from the satellite. Misalignment can weaken the signal, forcing the low-noise block-down converter to work harder and potentially overheat. Check the coax cables for any signs of damage, such as cuts, kinks, or corrosion. Damaged coax cables can introduce signal loss and interference, which can also overload the multi-switch. The power supply for the multi-switch provides the necessary voltage and current to operate the device. An overloaded or malfunctioning power supply can cause the multi-switch to overheat and fail. Ensure that the power supply is properly sized to handle the load of the multi-switch and any connected devices. Avoid overloading the power supply by connecting too many devices to it. If the power supply is old or showing signs of wear and tear, consider replacing it with a new one. Lightning protection is essential in areas prone to lightning strikes. A lightning arrestor provides a path for lightning-induced surges to safely flow to ground, protecting the satellite dish and connected equipment from damage. The lightning arrestor should be installed near the dish and properly grounded to the grounding electrode system. This ensures that the surge is diverted away from the equipment and safely dissipated into the earth. Grounding the lightning arrestor properly is crucial for its effectiveness. The grounding wire should be as short and straight as possible to minimize impedance. Connect the grounding wire to the grounding electrode system using a grounding clamp. If you have exhausted all of these troubleshooting steps and the multi-switch continues to fail, it is best to contact DirecTV support for further assistance. They have trained technicians who can diagnose and resolve complex issues with satellite systems. They may also be able to identify any underlying problems with the installation or equipment. Remember to always prioritize safety when working with electrical equipment. If you are not comfortable performing any of these troubleshooting steps, it is best to consult with a qualified electrician or satellite technician. In summary, protecting a DirecTV multi-switch from repeated failures involves a multifaceted approach. It starts with a thorough inspection and verification of the grounding system, ensuring all connections are secure, corrosion-free, and properly bonded to a grounding electrode system. This provides a safe path for stray electrical currents, particularly those from surges, to dissipate into the earth. Surge protection is the next critical layer of defense. Employing surge protectors, specifically those designed for satellite equipment, on both the electrical and coax connections can effectively divert excess voltage away from the sensitive multi-switch. These devices act as a barrier, safeguarding the switch from power spikes that can originate from lightning, power grid fluctuations, or even household appliances. A careful examination of the antenna and its components is also essential. The low-noise block-down converter, responsible for amplifying and converting the satellite signal, should be checked for proper operation. A faulty low-noise block-down converter can introduce noise and interference, potentially overloading the multi-switch. The satellite dish itself must be properly aligned to ensure the strongest possible signal, reducing the strain on the low-noise block-down converter. Coax cables, the pathways for the satellite signal, should be inspected for any damage such as cuts, kinks, or corrosion. Damaged cables can degrade the signal and contribute to multi-switch failures. Power supply issues are another potential culprit. The power supply for the multi-switch must be adequately sized and functioning correctly. An overloaded or malfunctioning power supply can lead to overheating and eventual failure of the multi-switch. Ensure that the power supply is not burdened with too many devices and consider replacing it if it shows signs of wear or malfunction. In regions prone to lightning strikes, lightning protection is paramount. Installing a lightning arrestor near the satellite dish and properly grounding it to the grounding electrode system can provide a critical path for lightning-induced surges to safely flow to ground. This protective measure significantly reduces the risk of damage to the satellite dish and connected equipment. While these troubleshooting steps cover the most common causes of multi-switch failures, there may be instances where the issue is more complex and requires professional assistance. In such cases, contacting DirecTV support is recommended. The technicians possess the expertise and specialized tools to diagnose and resolve intricate problems with satellite systems. Furthermore, if you are not comfortable or experienced in working with electrical equipment, it is always best to err on the side of caution and consult with a qualified electrician or satellite technician. They can safely and effectively identify and address any potential hazards. Finally, routine maintenance and inspection of the satellite system can help prevent future problems. Regularly check the grounding connections, surge protectors, antenna components, and power supply for any signs of wear or damage. By proactively addressing potential issues, you can ensure the long-term reliability and performance of your DirecTV system. Remember that even with the best preventative measures, unforeseen events can still occur. Electrical storms, power grid fluctuations, and equipment malfunctions can all lead to surges that could potentially damage your multi-switch. Therefore, it is always prudent to have a backup plan in place. This could involve having a spare multi-switch on hand or subscribing to a service plan that covers equipment replacement. By taking these precautions, you can minimize downtime and ensure uninterrupted access to your favorite DirecTV programming. In addition to the technical aspects of troubleshooting, it is also important to consider the environmental factors that can affect the performance and longevity of your satellite system. Exposure to harsh weather conditions such as extreme temperatures, humidity, and salt spray can accelerate the degradation of components and increase the risk of corrosion. Protecting your satellite system from these environmental factors can help extend its lifespan and reduce the likelihood of failures. Consider installing a protective enclosure around the multi-switch to shield it from the element. Regularly clean the satellite dish and other components to remove dirt, debris, and salt buildup. Apply a corrosion inhibitor to exposed metal surfaces to prevent rust and corrosion. In conclusion, troubleshooting a DirecTV multi-switch that keeps getting fried requires a systematic approach that addresses potential issues with grounding, electrical surges, antenna components, power supply, and lightning protection. By following the steps outlined in this guide and taking appropriate preventative measures, you can significantly reduce the risk of multi-switch failures and ensure the reliable performance of your satellite system. And always remember, when in doubt, consult with a qualified professional for assistance. Let's further elaborate on each of the troubleshooting steps mentioned earlier to provide a more comprehensive understanding of the process. Firstly, inspecting the grounding system involves a meticulous examination of all grounding components, including the grounding rod or rods, the grounding wires, and the grounding block. The grounding rod should be driven deep enough into the ground to provide a stable and reliable connection to the earth. The grounding wire should be securely attached to the grounding rod using a grounding clamp. The grounding wire should be free from any cuts, breaks, or corrosion. The grounding block should be specifically designed for satellite dishes and should provide a low impedance path for electrical currents to flow to ground. Secondly, checking for electrical surges requires the use of a surge protector to protect the multi-switch from power surges. The surge protector should be installed between the electrical outlet and the power supply for the multi-switch. The surge protector should be rated to handle the maximum voltage and current that could potentially flow through the electrical wires. The surge protector should be regularly inspected to ensure that it is functioning properly. Inspecting the electrical panel for loose or damaged wires should be performed by a qualified electrician. Loose wires can create resistance, which can lead to heat buildup and potential electrical surges. Damaged wires can create short circuits, which can also trigger surges. Thirdly, examining the antenna and coax cables involves inspecting the dish for any damage or misalignment. The dish should be free from any dents, cracks, or corrosion. The dish should be properly aligned to receive the strongest possible signal from the satellite. Checking the low noise block-down converter for proper operation requires the use of a signal meter. The signal meter can be used to measure the signal strength and quality of the satellite signal. The low noise block-down converter should be replaced if it is not functioning properly. Ensuring that the coax cables are securely connected and not damaged is essential for maintaining a strong and reliable satellite signal. The coax cable should be free from any cuts, kinks, or corrosion. The coax cable should be securely connected to the dish, the multi-switch, and the receivers. Fourthly, inspecting the power supply involves verifying that the power supply is properly sized and functioning correctly. The power supply should be rated to handle the load of the multi-switch and any connected devices. The power supply should be replaced if it is not functioning properly. Ensuring that the power supply is not overloaded with too many devices is important for preventing overheating and potential failure. Fifthly, considering lightning protection involves installing a lightning arrestor near the dish to protect it from lightning-induced surges. A lightning arrestor should be properly grounded to the grounding electrode system. A lightning arrestor should be regularly inspected to ensure that it is functioning properly. Grounding the lightning arrestor properly is crucial for its effectiveness. The grounding wire should be as short and straight as possible to minimize impedance. The grounding wire should be connected to the grounding electrode system using a grounding clamp. Sixthly, contacting DirecTV support is recommended if the issue persists after attempting all of the above troubleshooting steps. DirecTV support has trained technicians who can diagnose and resolve complex issues with satellite systems. DirecTV support may also be able to identify any underlying problems with the installation or equipment. And always remember to prioritize safety when working with electrical equipment. If you are not comfortable performing any of these troubleshooting steps, it is best to consult with a qualified electrician or satellite technician. Remember that the information provided in this guide is for general informational purposes only and should not be considered as a substitute for professional advice. Always consult with a qualified electrician or satellite technician before performing any electrical work or troubleshooting any satellite system issues.